The Speed Puzzle World Series is this week. It is finally here after months of waiting and training and preparing. Welcome to part 7 of my preview series. Let's do some predictions. This is a long one, and I had to record it twice. In this video, I'll be giving my final thoughts and predictions on what I think the puzzle designs will look like in each of the challenges, what I think the mystery brand will be in challenge number 4, and who I think is going to do the best for each country that's represented, and I do my top 20 countdown for the top finishers at the World Series. Now, before I go into this video, especially before I get into the competitor predictions, if you are someone who's competing at the World Series and you don't want to know if I've put your name down on this or mentioned you or what place I may have put you in if you're one of the top competitors there. I've not done all 340 people, that would be insane. But if you're someone who is competing for those top spots and you just don't want to see that extra pressure and it's going to affect maybe your mindset going into the World Series, don't watch it. Just watch the first half of the video, ignore the second half. Everybody else watch the full video, please. And it is important to note that because of the setup of this competition with the 6 challenges over 2 days with different brands being used, there's so many unknowns, but I'll talk about those as I get to each part in this prediction video. So let's start with the puzzle predictions and what the images might be for each round and how long I think each round will take. So let's start with my puzzle predictions for each of the challenges as what the images may or may not look like and how long it will take to get a winner in each of the 6 challenges. My initial reasonings for the image predictions and how long it may or may not take is based on the fact that the time limits are quite restrictive, especially when it comes to the time between each of the rounds. In other videos, I've mentioned that there just isn't going to be time to be counting pieces for over half of the competitors if they haven't finished in time. So they are going to want to get as many people done in each round as possible in the 75-minute time limit or 90 minutes for Challenge 6. I want to assume the organization or the organizers are looking for speed above all else. It is a speed puzzle competition after all. And because the organizers are speed puzzlers themselves, they will have taken the image style and selection into consideration. These are just my assumptions. And it is also worth noting one last time in this preview series that I am not associated with the Speed Puzzle World Series in any sort of organizational way. Everything in this is my own assumptions. I have no insider information on what this could possibly be when it comes to each of the challenges or what the images may look like. Absolutely complete guesses based on my own guesswork. So in Challenge 1, we have a gradient puzzle. This appears to be the one that the competitors are thinking will be the easiest, and I agree. While I have speculated in the past that I think there could be a twist in this round where it is a single color gradient, so going from light blue to dark blue, something like that, or worse, a black and white gradient, I do think we see a multicolored pattern, not necessarily a full rainbow, but a color spectrum transition in some sort of way. Now, when it comes to the gradient and ravensburger puzzles in the past, I am not considering puzzles like floral reflections to be a gradient in this specific case. While the colors do transition across, it is fairly sectioned off, and because it was mentioned in my Puzzled and Chatty episode with one of the organizers, Mel Townsend, she did confirm that a puzzle like Paris Rainbow from the 2025 World Championships is not going to be considered a gradient either because it's very much sectioned off. I think that's going to lean into what we see with puzzles like floral reflections, where that's not going to count as a gradient either. So sectioned off puzzles are not part of my prediction. However, I do think we see a puzzle theme along the same lines as Paris Rainbow. I don't think it's going to be Paris themed in that sense, but with a much larger gradient section in the background with a few random images or objects more in the foreground. I think the style will be more similar to a landscape but digitally enhanced in some sort of way. I do not think any of the puzzles will be AI generated, but digitally enhancing, that's absolutely fine. We see that with a lot of photography in general anyways. Think Aurora Borealis type of coloring. that's kind of what we're looking at, where the gradient, it's not going to be a clear grain across. It's going to be, I think it will be more of a swirl. Again, Aurora Borealis, I think, is the best way to kind of describe that. This round will be the fastest, I think, with a winning time of 28 minutes and 9 seconds. Why 28 minutes and 9 seconds? Because. We then move on to challenge 2 on the same day, and this is the repetition round. This is the toughest, I think, to predict for day 1. Repetition can mean anything, and what is the relationship between repetition and similarity going to be? Because they aren't the same thing, and it does make a difference. For instance, you can repeat the same object over and over again, but the color scheme is different. So repetition difficulty is actually quite minimal, but the object itself is being repeated. Or you can look at insanely hard puzzles such as Peacock, where there are clear similarities and it looks like repetition, but if you actually look at the feathers in the Peacock puzzle, it's not identical repetition. It's just a lot of similarities. What are we counting as repetition versus a lot of the same looking type of thing, but not exactly the same? As I think the organizers are focused on speed, we aren't going to see something like the Peacock, but I do believe that the color scheme will not be totally different from one section to another. Some differences, yes, but not tons. I think we see something with a variety of items repeated within the same image. An example from Ravensburger, this is a large piece puzzle that they released previously called Autumn Riches. I don't think the coloring will be as generous as this picture is. That would be more in the gradient type of round, but there are repeated leaf patterns, there's repeated pine cones and acorns, and there is enough of a difference between each of the repeated objects that speed will still play a factor. They're not identical leaves one after another. There are differences enough that top puzzlers and a lot of the people that will be at this competition will be able to tell the differences and complete these types of puzzles fast. But I do think we stay away from photographs for this round. As we see, it'll be more of an illustrated puzzle, but like the Autumn Riches example there, it's very realistic in terms of what the art looks like. This round will be longer, but it will still be a sub 40 with a winning time of 35 minutes and 2 seconds. And finally, for challenge 3 on day 1, another Ravensburger puzzle, we have the detailed round. I won't spend too much time on this one, as I just want to say what I want to see and also what I do think will happen. I think this round is going to be very similar to the 2025 World Championship semifinal 3rd round, which is the Cute Kawaii Chaos puzzle, this one up here. It will be busy and it will be essentially a pick and place puzzle. I also think that it's the first round that we see clear illustration, almost on the verge of an animated type style like Cute Kawaii Chaos. Cartoony, fun type of design. In my heart of hearts, do I think that's going to be the case? Absolutely not. But I am hoping that this is a very enjoyable round, and something like Cute Kawaii Chaos is in this round. With this puzzle, you do need to pay attention to all the small details within each of the characters. There's a lot going on with it, especially on a piece-by-piece scale. So it falls perfectly into what a detailed round should look like. And I absolutely love this puzzle. I think it is my favorite Ravensburger puzzle at the moment, and I really want to see something like this appear again. The winner in this round will finish with a time of 34:33. In ideal conditions, I do think it would be faster, but this is the end of a 3 puzzle day. It will be a long day. So I think that's going to hold back the times a little bit, but we still see a sub 35 for the winner. On to day 2, the first challenge of the day is the mystery brand and the mystery image. So just as a reminder, we do not know what the brand is going to be for this round, and during the assembly of the puzzle, we will not see the image either. My prediction for this round is the image will be some sort of realism or photography based. There will be some form of clear sections to kind of break up the puzzle to make it a little bit easier to assemble. When it comes to the brand, I did ask people on my Instagram to give their predictions. Truffle was the favorite, but not by much. I think it was a popular choice because we did see Truffle at the European Championships, so it would make sense that we're still in Europe, and it is a popular brand in Europe. Educa was a close second behind them. I think these are both good options. Neither are my pick. That being said, for Educa, I wouldn't be totally horrified. That's too strong of a word. I wouldn't be totally upset if it showed up a lot of the unboxed puzzles that I had been given to practice over the past month or so. There was a lot of Educa puzzles in there, so I am a bit more familiar with some of the little things to watch out for that brand. It's not my preference, so I do not think it's going to be an Educa at the World Series. Other brands mentioned include, I'm just going to read them off here, not all of them, but some of them. They include Art Puzzle, please God, no. Clementoni, Schmidt, Jumbo, Anatolian. There's a whole bunch, mostly European-based brands, which again makes sense. A surprising amount of people do think we see another Ravensburger or Gibson's, which is the brand for challenges 4, 5, and 6, featured as the mystery brand. I really don't think that would be the case. I understand the reasoning. I don't understand the reasoning behind why people think this is what's going to happen. If it is, then yeah, shame on me. But if it were going to be that, why say mystery brand? You could just do mystery image. Because we're practicing Ravensburgers and Gibsons anyways, there's no additional benefit to keeping the brand a secret. Why include mystery brand in the description as well? If it's a Gibsons, they could have easily just said it's a mystery image. I also have to take into consideration, again, from a marketing point of view, these are all companies that are involved with this. The puzzle companies want to sell puzzles, and this brand has agreed to stay a mystery through all this promotional time. If you've been following a lot of people on puzzle Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, whatever it might be, over the past 4 months, you will have seen a lot of posts about Gibsons. We usually don't see that. Ravensburger is always going to be posted about, but this would have been a big opportunity for a company to get more promotional stuff out there. So there has to be a reason, right? And even though Ravensburger and Gibsons are not technically sponsors of this event, they will be benefiting from word of mouth marketing, social media advertising, for free, for people just doing it because they're posting and tagging these companies as they train for this international event. There has definitely been some sort of uptick in Gibson sales as well. There has to have been. So my guess for this brand, and I will explain why, it was the third most suggested in the poll as well, and I think it's going to be a puzzle from speedpuzzle.eu. So while revealing this would have been a big boost in sales for whichever brand it's going to be, whether it's speedpuzzle.eu or whoever it might be, because this specific brand is purely based online and in Europe, it would have given a huge advantage to the European competitors, so it was kept a secret. There will still be some advantage if this is the puzzle brand because it's been used in the European Jigsaw Jam online competitions. They were also part of the unboxed type of idea being used recently over the past few months or a bit longer, so there is a link there with it. The puzzles have been designed in some cases to be unboxed. The brand also makes its own custom puzzles for when they're used in competitions. So it is something that they are familiar with and they have the capability to do. I also want to be clear that yes, I just had a giveaway on my Instagram page for this brand. I also did a review on this channel for the speedpuzzle.eu brand. Those two things weren't related. That was a coincidence. And the fact I'm guessing it's this brand is also a coincidence. There is no connection between all of these things happening. But by doing the review first, and then by having the giveaway and looking at the brand a little bit more, and I've been loaned I've been loaned a few puzzles from this series, it just kind of made logical sense to me that there's a good chance that this could be the mystery brand. The images vary, but there is a common theme across most of them, and that is that they are sectioned. For instance, 4 different sections on there, different sections on here. Not quite sectioned, but it's sectioned. A lot of the puzzles, not all of them, but a lot of the puzzles have very clear spots on it, architecture as well from that series. It's very, very clear what places, what to work on in each different section, and works very well. Any of these work very well for an unbox challenge. And I think the winning time for this round will be 36 minutes and 2 seconds. On to challenge 5, the first of the Gibsons round, and this is the Gibsons circle puzzle. Gibsons, I think, at least at the start, maybe not recently as the competition gets closer, but I think it was being a little bit underestimated. The art is tough. The piece cuts are not easy. Piece fit can be a challenge, especially when it comes to the circles. There are also 2 different cuts for this brand, and depending on which one shows up in the competition, that could have the end results very different. When it comes to the image, I think we see some sort of painting type of style, which is very common with the Gibsons, and that's just going to make it trickier. Now, a lot of the Gibsons circles are split into sections, kind of like pizza slices. I don't think that we will see that here. There will be a central focus in the center, which is popular with some of the other puzzles in the Gibsons circle series. Kind of like a mini circle puzzle in the middle, and then expands to a larger scene as you get closer to the border. The time will heavily depend on the overall image quality and how the pieces fit together. But I do think the sub 40 streak continues, but just barely, with a winning time in this round of 39 minutes and 30 seconds. And then finally, we have the Panoramic puzzle for challenge number 6, also a Gibsons, and 636 pieces, and a 90-minute time limit, unlike the other rounds, which are all 75. This will be the longest round once I make my prediction, but not by as much as we may think. It's the final round. If it's possible for people to make up time and still take a victory here, especially if you're in the top 10 or top 20, you're going to see people going as fast as they've probably ever gone. So yes, there's 136 more pieces, but we're not going to be adding on like 20 extra minutes onto this. It's going to be a few more minutes, but not tons. Now, the art style of the Panoramics when it comes to the Gibsons, they're all very similar. I do think we see a twist in this final round, though. I just think the organizers have something up their sleeves to kind of end this, and I think we see something different in this final round than one of these painted panoramics that we see so often from Gibsons. This is also more about me wanting to positively manifest something like this into happening, because if this shows up to end the competition, oh no. Now, I've never seen positive manifestation work, and I've tried it a lot, but hopefully it works out in this case. At some point in this competition, I think we see a meta puzzle design, something that's themed around puzzling. And if it hasn't happened already in the first 5 rounds, I think this is where it does. A panoramic is a perfect opportunity to have a scene of puzzling or something incorporated with a puzzle theme. But I don't think it's going to be in the pastel coloring paintings that we see from most of the Gibsons. And because it's also important to note that these puzzles are not being sold by the brand after the competition is done. So customization, there's more opportunity for it in this case. So there's the option for a more unique style, even within a brand that has a very specific type of style when it comes to the artwork. Again, I think there's a little twist that's going to show up here in this final round. In this round, we do not crack the sub 40 mark. It is a longer puzzle, space management. There's a lot going on in this round. But we will still see a sub 45 with a winning time of 44:22. That is the 6 rounds, and if my math is correct, in total this gives a winning collaborative time because that's what matters when it comes to the winner of 3 hours, 37 minutes, and 38 seconds. And while I do not think the same person will win all 6 rounds, and I hope that's not the case, this would be a good total time to lock in and submit to the bonus challenge that you can find on the Speed Puzzle World Series Instagram page. However, this time, as I was going to go and put this in and read through the other guesses on there as well, I noticed that this time has already been entered by someone else. So, Brittany from Belgium, I see you. I also think that I have some times that are a bit slower, maybe a little bit more conservative than what will actually happen. So I'm going to take off 2 minutes and 2 seconds from that time, and I will submit a final time into the challenge of 3 hours, 35 minutes, and 36 seconds. By the time this video is posted, that time will already be submitted on that challenge. Okay, on to the competitor predictions. Like I said, if you are someone that is competing and you don't want to hear your name, turn the video off now, or skip around to the different countries I'm going to be covering in here. But for these predictions, I took into account the following factors. First was recency in competitions and previous results. What you have done lately matters. What you did in 2015, I could not care less about. What you've done in 2025, early 2026, 2024, even 2023, that's okay-ish. But really what you've done in the past 6 to up to 12 months, that's the big ones. In-person competitions matter more than virtual. In fact, I didn't even look at virtual results. I know they exist, and in the back of my mind, they might have played some sort of factor. But I have a bunch of results all into my spreadsheets on here from various in-person competitions, and I don't have any results from virtual competitions written down. This is, in person is a different type of pressure, and you don't control the environment. So I care more about what happens in person than virtual. I've also looked at what I've noticed when it comes to training on various social media accounts, especially Instagram, and what I've heard from people behind the scenes. This one is a little bit tougher because I don't follow all, or I don't know about all the top competitors. Some have no social media presence at all, so that makes it very hard to follow what they're doing. Or some just haven't been mentioned to me. So yeah, there's going to be things that I'm missing for sure in there. I've also had to take into account how I think the top competitors will perform over the course of 2 intensive days and being surrounded by the other top puzzlers in the world 6 rounds in a row. At previous competitions, you'll be around top puzzlers, but it's always a different setup each time. And if you're sitting beside some of the top people in the world, or at the same table, or behind them, or in front of them, beside them, whatever it might be, that can be intimidating. And there's a physical and mental aspect to this that needs to be taken into account as well. And finally, just a gut feeling. And that gut feeling is where I will most likely mess up. I trust my gut heavily, but it does lead me astray a lot. So we'll see how that turns out. These predictions will likely be wrong. To the people I think will win, prove me right. Would love that. And to the people I don't have as a top finisher, I can't wait to be proven wrong. That's gonna be the most fun for me as someone who is not going to be winning. I want to see what those final results are, and we're all gonna have names that come to the front of our mind that we will likely see in the top 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 or 20. If there's another name that pops up there, great. So to the people who aren't even on my radar, or maybe other people's radar, I am cheering for you the most. I would love to see a completely unknown name, if possible, a complete dark horse of a name, someone sitting at table 300 and whatever. I'm not going to say a specific number in case that person is watching. But I would love to see somebody like that, someone pull victory from the very back of the room, cause some chaos in the puzzle world. So here we go. I'm going to do the countries first, and I'm only going to be focusing on countries with at least 5 competitors or more. If it's less than that, I apologize. This video is going to be long enough already, but if there's only one person from your country, congratulations. You have won. You are the top finisher from that country. And for the countries with under 5 people, I may not include you in this part of the video. However, you may still appear in the top 20 countdown that comes near the end of this video. And as a side note, I am going to pronounce some names wrong, and for that I apologize. This is going in alphabetical order, so starting off with the home country of the founders of the Speed Puzzle World Series, we have Australia. Now, Australia is a strong puzzle country, and if Mel Townsend, one of the organizers, was participating in this, this would be an even harder country to predict. But as it is, with the names that I took into consideration, I do think Hannah Farthing wins it for Australia over the 6 challenges. Of the Australians competing at this, Hannah finished top at the Worlds in 2025, and just seconds behind Katrina at the last Australian Nationals. So I think Hannah has a consistency over 2 days, but honorable mentions go to Katrina Coleman and Rihanna Erickson. Now there is a lot, so I'm going to be reading a little bit more off the screen that's in front of me here as I go through these. But moving on to Belgium, my instinct, based on the results and the gap between the 2 Belgians at the 2025 Worlds, it was too big to ignore, to kind of make it think it's going to be super close between these 2 people. My choice also finished second at the most recent Belgian Nationals, which just took place last month. But what clinched it for me, and this is the individual I mentioned earlier when I did my time prediction, being the same as what I randomly came up to as well. So Brittany Poncho is my pick to top the Belgium standings. Moving on to the Czech Republic, this was a very tough one. I had to keep coming back to this one. I couldn't really decide. Jana had an incredible World Championships, finishing 4th overall last year, beating the next Czech puzzler, Teresa, by almost 5 minutes. However, Teresa won the Czech Nationals in 2025, beating Jana by almost 9 minutes. However, that was also a previously released puzzle with, I think it was Succulent Love. So it's hard to determine. You don't know if someone's practiced it or if they've seen it, what the access to that in Europe was at the time. And Jana also had a good result in the 2025 European Championships. With 2 big international results last year with unreleased images, I have to give the edge here to Jana in this competition for the Czech Republic. But Teresa being the top finisher wouldn't be surprising at all. And don't count out Marketa either. Very strong 3 from Czech Republic. Could be anybody. Denmark was a fairly quick decision on here. As the top puzzler for Denmark at their most recent nationals, Sophie Anderson takes this. Easy. Estonia, I have no idea. There is shockingly little information that I can find when it comes to Estonia. I don't even know if they have a puzzle association. But there's a lot of them showing up here, so I do like that. As the top Estonian puzzler at the 2024 World Championships and 2025 European Championships, Tula Mirsep is who I think will be the top Estonian again. Again, if I say your name wrong, I do apologize. Finland, another tough one. We have Hannah, Laura, and Inka. Hannah was by 75 spots the top finisher at the 2025 World Championships over Laura, who was just 1 spot ahead of Inka. Now follow me through with this. However, Laura finished above Hannah at the recent Finnish Nationals, and with a bit more of a gap over Inka in the finals. But Inka beat Laura in the qualifiers. So everyone's beaten everybody at some point in the last 7 or 8 months. This is going to come down to the puzzles and the stamina over 2 days. Based on what I've seen of Hannah's training, there may be an image style that is less than ideal for her, but over the course of 6 different puzzles over 2 days, I think Hannah finishes first for the Finns. I had Laura down as number 1 until just seconds ago. As I was talking that through and looking at everything on there, I just talked myself out of it. once I started thinking about the 6 puzzles, it could easily be Laura, but I'm gonna stick with Hannah. France was tough. Similar to Estonia, not a lot of information. There are 3 names again that, based on the 2025 world results, we have Clement, Eleanor, and Elodie. Clement and Elodie both made the finals, finishing 76th and 95th respectively at the World Championships. However, Eleanor missed out on making the finals by 10 seconds in the cute Kawaii Chaos round. If she makes it into the finals, who knows? So maybe it's just this type of image wasn't for her that day, but 10 seconds, that is very, very close. Looking at the 2025 European results, Eleanor was the clear winner of the 3 by multiple minutes. So I'm going to take a risk here with my France prediction, and I'm going to say Eleanor finishes first for the French. Yeah, I've written down Eleanor. I'm going to go with Eleanor. The Germans, by far the most competitors, but really it comes down to 2 names out of, they have over 60 competitors there, and it's going to come down to about 2, maybe 3. But those 2 names that everyone's going to be focusing on the most, I think, are going to be Kati and Nina. Kati finished 3rd overall at the 2025 World Championships, so unbelievable. But Nina finishing just behind in 5th place. But Nina just won the German Nationals last month, with Kati 2 spots behind her in 3rd. This is a toss-up, and I have no idea. It's a 50-50 shot, I think, at this point. It's so even. I'm going to go with Kati, but by minutes, if that. My decision here is based on the fact that Kati won over Nina at the World Championships by a time of 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Nina won at Nationals over Kati by a time of 2 minutes and 29 seconds. That is a 71-second difference in total time. And this competition is about cumulative time, so I'm going to give this slight advantage to Kati. This one is tough too, though, because maybe flying under the radar flying under the radar of Kati and Nina is a 3rd individual, and right there in the mix in every single competition, sometimes beating them or very, very close to it, is Maya von Barstel, and who is also amazingly fast. That's another person to watch out for. But for Germany, I'm going to give a slight edge to Kati. Germany is also the country of my table partner at the World Championships. And that is Alexandra Stark, who finished 63rd at the European Championships last year. So a little bit of pressure on me for those 2 days. Hungary didn't have much information on them at all. Not a lot of detail or things I could find about Hungary. The top Hungarian at the European Championships last year was Dorothea, so that's who I will pick. Very briefly, and only because they have both appeared on this channel in Puzzled and Chatty episodes, so I do want to mention them specifically on here. We have Ireland and Italy, who both only have 2 participants from those countries, but Emma from Ireland and Chiara from Italy, they're going to win from those 2 countries. I'd be surprised if they didn't. They will also come up again. Moving on to Lithuania, not a lot of information here either, but I think Inga, as the only finalist from the 2025 World Championships, that's who will be the top finisher for Lithuania. Netherlands is also sending a strong group of puzzlers, with 7 who made it to the finals at the World Championships. This will come down to Marcia and Inga, I think. And while Marcia finished just a few spots higher at Worlds, I have a feeling this is Inga's time. Similar to the Germans, I think this will be very, very close. This one is more of a gut feeling, so if betting was possible, I'd probably put it on Marcia, because my gut is wrong a lot of the time, but I'm going to go with Inga for the Netherlands. Poland, the big one. We'll come back to Poland. Romania is a toss-up. I have no idea. Not a lot of information. I'm going to go with Gabriela. Slovakia, I think we have Lenka winning for her country. Slovenia is another tough one, unexpected. But when I started looking at all the information that I did have available, which wasn't much, it did make this tough. Even though Slovenia just had their nationals earlier this month, having Disney color palette as the finals puzzle is not a great benchmark to kind of compare how fast the fastest speed puzzles are. We're not going to get a Disney color palette puzzle at the World Series. I actually have it right here. Well, yes, it falls under the gradient category. We're not getting this. We're not. I would love this, but this is not showing up at the World Championships. So trying to decide if that's a helpful bit of information, not really. So I'm going to play it safe when it comes to Slovenia, and I think it will come down to Maya winning. And yes, there's two Mayas. Maya will be the top Slovenian. Spain, I mean, it has to be Alejandro, right? Two-time world champion, 7th place finish at the 2025 World Championships, designs puzzles himself. Like, everyone's very well aware of Alejandro. That is pretty much a given that he will be the top finisher for Spain. But with a nod to Gabriel as well, who I think will do very well. Sweden is a tough one too. There are some very good Swedish puzzlers, but this will come down to the 2nd place finisher at the Swedish Nationals, which was Amelia Persson, and the 4th place finisher at Swedish Nationals, which was Tyra Weering, who was also 38th at the World Championships last year and finished with the fastest time at the 2026 Danish Nationals earlier this year. And Amelia finished with the 4th fastest time at the Danish Nationals. So these two just kind of keep going back and forth. Again, very similar to the Germans. So similar to the Germans, I'm going to base this on their collective times. And looking at the differences between the two, this will give a slight edge to Tyra to be the top finisher for Sweden. For Switzerland, there are a few unknowns in this grouping, and again, a lot of people from Switzerland, which is nice to see. But I think this one is pretty clear, with Anami taking the victory for the Swiss. On to the UK, and this is probably the easiest, especially with a key Brit not attending. Rachel Chambers will definitely be the highest placing puzzler from the UK, coming off her victory just 2 weeks ago at the UK Nationals, as well as being a top 10 finisher at the 2025 World Championships. Rachel not being the top UK finisher would be an absolute shock. It's Rachel's. Also worth noting from the UK is a puzzler who is getting faster and has an excellent YouTube channel that, if you're not already following her, you should be, and that is Scarlett Granger, otherwise known as Scarlet Sky here on YouTube. Her result will be interesting, I think, as well. And as someone who's most of my family is from Scotland, if there's any Scottish puzzlers out there, please make yourself known. I need to know who to really cheer for under the UK umbrella, which, where's the Scots? And then we have the US, the 2nd most represented country, and the one that will be another somewhat challenging decision. Two names that stand out for me when it comes to the people from the United States are Kelly Walter, who was the 2025 U.S. national champion and finished 4th place at the 2026 U.S. Nationals. It's also worth noting that the 1st and 2nd place from the 2026 U.S. Nationals are not attending, and the 3rd place finisher is competing under the Canadian flag at the World Series, which we'll talk about in a second. The other name from the US is Mari Black, who just a couple of weeks ago had the fastest time at the UK Nationals and finished 19th at the US Nationals and 36th at the World Championships last year. So a very fast puzzler who is getting faster all the time. There's some other good US puzzlers who made the finals at the 2025 World Championships, but I think the edge here for the US goes to Kelly. Coming to the end, only 2 countries left to cover. Canada. Have to talk about Canada. Obviously, I'm going to save them for close to the end. There's only 6 of us. Yes, we do have another Canadian that entered, so we're up to 6. But the clear top Canadian finisher will be Irina Shevchenko, especially after her 3rd place finish at the U.S. Nationals this year. It won't even be close. from between her and whoever the next Canadian is on the list. But the battle for second for the Canadians, I think, will be very interesting to watch. I'll be really pushing to try to get that place. Depends on the puzzles and how everyone's feeling that day. I am really hoping to get the top spot for Canadians living in Canada that are participating. I think I have a shot at that one. But I don't know. We will see. So for the Canadians, good luck to Irina. It would be nice to see a Canadian as high in those standings as possible. That being said, go all out, Irina. But I hope you don't tire yourself out too much for the Canadian Nationals that take place soon after that. That'd be a real shame if you were too tired for that. And finally, we have Poland. Of course, I was going to save this for last, for obvious reasons. Veronica and Victor. This is the showdown. Veronica, the reigning world champion, super fast. But every time I see a video of her puzzling, she just looks so calm, and she just doing her thing and finishing in incredible times. On the other side, you have Victor, who is dominant in countless other competitions, and with some of the fastest moving hands, but has not secured a world title yet. So who takes the top spot for Poland? Well, let's do the top 20 countdown first. All right, the top 20, counting down, starting with 20th spot. I won't go into any reasons for this. This is just based on gut feelings as I put together all the top finishers from the countries I just mentioned. In 20th place, we have Hannah from Finland. 19th place, Tyra from Sweden. 18th, Mari from the USA. 17th, Irina from Canada. 16th, Maya from Germany. 15th, Hannah from Australia. 14th, Kelly from the USA. 13th, Gabriel from Spain. 12th, Chiara from Italy. 11th, Rachel Chambers from the United Kingdom. And down to the top 10. In 10th place, from the Czech Republic, Teresa. In 9th place, from Ireland, Emma. In 8th place, from the Netherlands, Marcia. In 7th place, also from the Netherlands, Inga. In 6th place, from Spain, Alejandro. In 5th place, from Germany, Nina. In 4th place, also from Germany, Kati. In 3rd place, from the Czech Republic, Jana. That leaves the final two, and I think this is going to be a lot of people's final two. Veronica or Victor. Victor or Veronica. I asked for predictions on my Instagram page for people to pick who they thought was going to be the winner, and the results said one name over and over again. The winner in first place, my prediction, from Poland, is Victor. And in second place, Veronica. In my 2025 World Championships prediction video, I chose Veronica as my winner, and I was right. And I find it very hard to bet against a reigning champion, but this is not the World Championships. I think over 2 days, 6 different puzzles, the total time will add up into Victor's favor. I can't speak for Veronica's training. I am not familiar with it, but I've seen what Victor has been doing in the lead up to this competition, doing multiple puzzles within a single day. That stamina that's been building up might just be enough to finally get him across the line in first place. I do not think Victor will win every single round, and honestly, I don't really want to say that either. I want different people to win different rounds, but he will be consistent enough across the 6 challenges that he will take home a well-earned victory and his first world title. And I fully expect him to be making an appearance back on this channel for Champions Corner. But at the end of the day, this is a competition and anything can happen. There's so many unknowns that can play a factor. You open that bag wrong and pieces fly everywhere. That's it. That's you done for that round. Those images could be 6 unlucky images for a top contender and just nothing matches with them that day. Or it could be the most ideal images ever. We just don't know. Now, like I said at the start, I will be happy with anyone in my top 20 winning. I think everyone has a somewhat realistic chance of at least coming in the top 10. And there's probably 10 or 15 on there that has a good chance of top 5 or better, again, depending on the day. But as I mentioned before, I am really hoping for a dark horse winner, whether we have heard their name or not. And I don't want them to win because the well-known names stumbled along the way, but because this individual does exceptionally well and blows us away. That is all for now and for this video. We are days away. There is one more video to be released before the event starts, and it is set to be released 48 hours before the opening ceremonies begin for the World Series. And it's not just me in that video. There may be a special guest or two, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that. It's a good final video in the preview series. But yes, please subscribe so you keep following along with these updates and everything else that is on this channel, as well as follow the SpeedPuzzle World Series and their accounts. I've included links to their Instagram and YouTube below. I should probably throw the TikTok in there now as well, but especially the YouTube. The event will be live stream all the rounds, so you can watch this unfold and see how wrong my predictions are. After the next video is released, get ready for some World Series on-site content. I have no idea what that will be, but there will hopefully be stuff to watch. It will be a very busy 2 days, but we'll see how it goes. Remember to click like if you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment below if you think I missed somebody. Usually I do, especially if there's someone where I don't have information on them. A perfect example would be I missed off a Canadian in my World Championships predictions, and that was Irina, ironically, who will be at this one, and I have her finishing in the top 20. But sometimes I just can't find information on some people, so if you think I missed somebody, let me know. I obviously want to watch that person and see how they do. But yeah, follow for more updates and discussion for the World Series. And the puzzling world in general. And you can also follow me and get more updates on my Instagram at @CanadamPuzzle. Thank you for watching. Good luck to everybody at the SpeedPuzzle World Series. And as always, to everybody, happy puzzling. Bye.